we now face a real challenge, which is not only the rapid fire questions, but also the fact that we have 10 questions total left. 5 rapid fire and 5 from the audience. If we all take a minute for each one, that's 80 minutes. We have 47. So you can see the struggle. So, I'm not a math major, but what we're going to do is we'll do the 50-second rapid fire. Take it. If you need all 50, take the time. If not, that's fine too. And then we'll go through as many of the audience questions as we can. Fair enough? We'll start with Senator Abbott. The first rapid fire question. What steps would you take to increase the adoption of registered apprenticeships in Berry County?
Yeah, really quick, I don't want to get all in going pro again, but I think that's a terrific way. Like you said, you get up to $3,500. So I would do that, and then also improve our CTE programs and expand it throughout our state.
I think where I would focus this is bringing a school, industry, and trades union partnership together to be able to expand the trade union's access across the county alongside our community colleges.
I would start young and middle school, start introducing students to vocational education and career education at that age, and then start going forward with it at the high school level now.
I would expand partnerships between employers, schools, and training providers while promoting apprenticeships as a pathway to high-paying careers in the skilled trades and technical fields.
We truly need to expand on the trade industry, and that's where registered apprenticeships are going to come in. And with that being said, we need to introduce it within our schools at all ages, and stop, like I mentioned earlier, stop cramming a 4-year degree down our children's throats, as they truly know not everybody wants to go to college. And with that being said, we need to give them the opportunity of an apprenticeship if that's what they desire.
Bigger part of a bigger education question, we're going to have to start differentiating our high school diplomas. It's something that many states across this nation have done. Michigan's been resistant of it. I currently reside on the only school in the state of Michigan that has differentiated diplomas. I'd like to see that happen. I'd also like to focus on apprenticeships not happening in younger ages, but actually in 11th and 12th grade, where I think it would be important. Lastly, congratulations to Ed Domke. He's done a phenomenal job here at Hastings area schools in promoting CTE. I know he's not here, but over 40 years in CTE, and he's done a phenomenal job.
First and foremost, we need to expand partnerships between schools, employers, and trade organizations to create more opportunities for our high schoolers going into either the workforce or continuing their education in college.
I would encourage local businesses to get involved earlier with children, especially local manufacturing, and even the unions have them come in and talk to these kids at a younger age, get them excited. Even maybe instead of going to the zoo on a field trip, maybe go to a manufacturing facility so these kiddos can learn what it takes to build things in our country and how amazing our manufacturing is right here in our county.
Very good. Our next question is Pennock, to you. Many citizens may not be aware of this, but I know many business owners are. There's proposed legislation in Michigan that could change how workers are classified as independent contractors, forcing more to be classified as employees versus being classified as independent contractors. What is your view on balancing worker protections with the need for flexibility for businesses that rely on independent contractors, particularly rural and small businesses?
So the current legislation that is out there for independent contractor classification, I currently don't support in its existing form. With that being said, if you don't meet the ABC test and you're a large corporation, which means if it's not the duty of your organization, the purpose of your organization, and somebody else already in your employee is not already doing that same job, then you can be an independent contractor. If you say yes to any of those, you should be an employee, not an independent contractor, and I call that wage theft and wage fraud. But we need exemptions for small businesses and smaller corporations and rural farms.
I worked for years as an independent contractor, having my own business and small manufacturing firms. And I had to provide documentation to the organizations I was doing work for that yes, I was actually a legitimate business and can prove that I was one. And we should keep something simple like
I own a business that has independent contractors. And independent contractors provide a valuable flexibility for both the workers and the businesses. And I support preserving that flexibility while ensuring that the laws prevent the misclassifications and abuse. Real estate agents are independent contractors. The model will not work differently, and our industry is constantly challenged on this.
In rural communities like ours here in District 78, independent contractors offer flexibility and it's not a luxury. It's how our small businesses and our family farms survive is with independent contractors, and we need to make sure that they don't have as many regulations like everybody else does. We need to make sure that it's also going to get a competitive market so it keeps the businesses going as well.
Yeah, let's be clear, there's been several reclassifications. We're just now facing the newest one. Ultimately, we need to make sure that business owners understand the rules for the classifications. I don't think we need a one-size-fits-all approach. I think government wants to try to push one thing and not understand rural America. So.
My dad is an independent contractor, so we definitely have to make sure that they are protected, but businesses also need flexibility. Let's preserve opportunities for independent contractors by preventing abuse. Thank you.
This is terrible policy, absolutely not. That's lightning, this is the lightning round, so.
Yeah, to add to that, this is a job killer, and when you see proposed legislation, I've been doing this for 10 years now, you ask me a question, what's this trying to solve? This isn't solving problems, as my colleague here, the competitor here said. We have the ABC test already in place, it works. We don't need this. This is simply an attempt to use the government to squeeze out competition. So, no, this is bad policy.
Very good, Mr. Swank. Question 3 to you, and this is, I did not come up with this, I swear to God, and I apologize, it's only 50 seconds, I'm sure you're going to need about 10 times that. But what policies would you support that lower energy costs and increase grid reliability for residents of Berry County and the wider West Michigan region?
Community solar, community microgrids. So in other words, creating co-ops in the local community to regulate our own power supply.
We need balanced energy strategy that prioritizes reliability, affordability, and grid security through a diverse mix of natural gas, nuclear, renewables, and emerging technologies.
What would be best in the state of Michigan is energy source diversification that does not sacrifice the grid reliability in the state of Michigan. We need to be open, yes, to solar farms, but at the same time, we need to make sure that they're not going to affect our farmers as well.
Thank you. I recently talked to a lineman who replaced a pole very recently. It's put in the 1930s. Our grid's in trouble right now. Best way to do it, cheapest way to do it is actually nuclear energy, although I would support coal, natural gas, like Terry mentioned. Actually worked for 5 years in special education in the coal hotbed of America. But I think nuclear is the way that we need to go. We can do these smaller nuclear projects and provide energy for entire cities.
We have to keep an all-above energy approach that keeps cost effective and grid reliable.
Diversify our energy grid, coal, nuclear, natural gas, solar, wind, common sense, diversifying the grid while respecting personal property rights, and stop allowing these utilities to keep raising the rates. It seems like every year they're petitioning to raise our rates. We need to stop that now.
The most important thing we need to do is repeal the Democrats' 2023 Green New Deal. That is going to cost all of you, everyone in Michigan, billions and billions and billions of dollars. The utilities are not going to eat those costs. They are passing them on to you, and they're doing it right now. We have to get rid of it. It's not going to work. I'm not anti-renewables, by all means. If they can stand on their own 2 feet and they can pass the local zoning, put them on. That's fine, if it's economic. But we've got to get rid of those mandates or we are going to be at a huge disadvantage nationally.
This is where I disagree. I think we already have a very diversified portfolio when it comes to energy. The problem really is the rate hikes. 2 rate hikes within 6 months is ridiculous. I support the ratepayer bill of rights that's being introduced in the legislature, which would mean that if a energy corporation is making more than 8.2% in profit, they cannot raise our rates. That's not allowed. And if we have, like we often do, the worst reliability and the longest outages, if we have extended outages longer than 48 hours, we get a reimbursement or a rebate on our account. That way, we can hold them accountable for increasing our rates and not having reliable service.
Great. Question number 4, Mr. Frewen, you were leading us off. Should broadband infrastructure be required or incentivized in new housing and commercial developments? Why or why not?
Yes, it should. Broadband is not a luxury anymore. It should be incorporated into the new residential and commercial developments whenever practical to ensure future competitiveness and connectivity. And if it's installed when the project is happening, it is going to cost less. We're not going to have issues with it hitting a power line or hitting a natural gas line while you're trying to put the broadband in. If you put it in with all the other utilities in its plan, it will be much cheaper.
I'm going to say yes on this one, especially because the decision on whether to require it or even incentivize it, needs to be with the local townships and within our communities and not within the hands of Lansing. But just as mentioned before, when hooking everything up, it clearly makes sense to hook up the broadband with it. Just as Terry mentioned, not to hit a gas line, for example, because if we hit a gas line, we know we're in a lot of trouble.
Yes.
Yes. Sure.
I have more to say, but it's like a quick response, it's okay.
I'm a no on this. I think it's outside of the scope of government. I don't think we need to be making mandates of this nature.
I don't think that we should be hitting independent builders with actual heavy-handed mandates that drive up construction costs. We need to have the state better utilize the federal BEAD funding to provide last-minute infrastructure grants to help offset connection costs for developers up front and reduce housing costs.
The only concern I have with this is that the technology is changing so rapidly that what is it going to be like by the time the house is built?
Very good. Mr. Hudson, our last rapid-fire question. If elected, what is one policy you would prioritize that would have the greatest immediate impact on Berry County?
Well, I love this question, so I can go on about it. But one of my biggest priorities is giving local control back instead of stripping it away from our little local communities like the city of Hastings or even like Woodland Township in Lake Odessa, for example. We need to make sure that local control is given back as well as government transparency within our spending in the state legislature. Like I said, as a taxpayer, it is time that we know exactly where each and every penny that our state is paying is going.
Obviously, workforce and economic development, that's tied to child care, tied to housing, tied to our infrastructure, but more importantly, education. Education is not tied to geography.
I would say my top priority is making Michigan more affordable. Let's cut income tax, rein in on property tax, totally reform the MEDC, and ease on regulations.
My gas tax holiday bill.
For Berry County specifically, I would like to get my $150 million CTE expansion grant program off the ground.
For me, I'm going to go back to the Going Pro Talent Fund, expanding that to double the size it previously was with the specific carve-outs for rural and small business communities.
I'd really like to see a vocational education center built out to the Pheasant Health Center.
It's very hard to say what is a top priority. I would say the reduction or elimination of our pop-up tax when homes are sold, but improving the affordability by creating jobs, increasing the housing supply, controlling the government spending, and making Michigan a more competitive place to live, work, and raise a family. So there's